Good day, Algebra 2 students. I'm going to show you a fun little method. I'm calling it the reverse box method, and it can be used to divide polynomials. You can do trinomials by trinomials, 4 terms by 3 terms by 2 terms. It doesn't matter. It works in all these different situations. Before we do that, I want to back up and I want to have you practice the box method using these functions and multiply them. Always remember to keep the minus sign with that particular term. The 3x squared would go here, the 2x, and the minus 1 would go here. So when we want to multiply these out, we know 3 times 1 is 3, and we know when we multiply, we add exponents. So we have 3x cubed, 2x squared, and minus 1 times x is just negative x. And we're going to do these, the negative 12, and then just the x squared, negative 8x, and plus 4. Now, since these are going down by 1, the exponents, that's a 1, and this is like x to the 0, which is just 1, so you don't really need to worry about that. And these are going down by 1. Then I know that these at an angle here they'll have the same exponent, and you can combine those or simplify those. So this would be 3x cubed, and then we have a negative 12 and a positive 2. It gives me a negative 10 x squared, and then we have a negative 8 and a negative 1. If you don't see anything, it's a 1 you're multiplying by. It's a negative 9x, and then my plus 4. So when I multiply these two things together, I get this. So that's my f of x. Now, what if I try something a little different here? What if I give you the f of x? So that was my actual quotient. That was my actual result from the previous problem. And what if I say take that and divide it by x minus 4? What is that? Well, I know if I go back and I take this and divide it by this, I would get this right here. So my goal is to get 3x squared plus 2x, and let me double check again, minus 1. That's what I should get when I take this polynomial and divide it by this polynomial. Now, it was real easy to know that because I already multiplied, but what if you hadn't multiplied and I hadn't given you that information? We can use what I'm going to call the reverse box method. And I'll talk about this one in a little bit. So I'm going to first step is that I'm going to take the first term of, this is called the dividend. And I don't know if it's an E or an A. Dividend. I don't know. I think it's an A. First term of that dividend. And put in upper left box. So that goes here. And you know when you multiply, that's what you get, right? Now, 1b here, place the divisor, which is this. I know you probably don't even remember all these words. We don't use them very often. Place the divisor on left side of box. So I take the x and the minus 4 and put it here. Let me see if I can change my pen color. I thought I knew. Oh, here we go. That's easier than Let's do some pink here. Okay. Now, number 2, we're going to take that first term that we just put in there of the dividend, and we're going to divide it by the first term of the divisor. So I take the 3x squared, or cubed, sorry, divide it by the x. And remember that when we divide, we subtract exponents, so the result is 3x squared. So you put the result up here. Result on top of the box. I'm going to change colors again. Let's try a blue. Now I multiply the result by the second term of the divisor. So I take the 3x squared, multiply it by the -4, and I get negative 12x squared. All right, now here comes the fun part. Let's try another fun color since it's a fun part. How about orange? Oh, no, green is the best color in the whole world. Okay, so number 4, I need to find what goes right here. I take a look at this. So that's my next term in the dividend, which is negative 10x squared. And I know when I add whatever x squared here to this one, I'm going to get negative 10. Now, sometimes we can just do that without thinking. But if you can't, you can just like, I got it. But if you want to process, you would do negative 10x squared minus a negative 12x squared. And you remember, when you do minus, that's the same thing as plusing. So negative 10 plus 12 would give me a positive 2x squared. Now I'm going to double check. I always double check because it's so easy to mess up the signs. So negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10, and then I have x squares. Yep, negative 10x squares. That's what I want. So this is a little harder to put into words. So I'm just going to say on here, subtract next term in the dividend. I think it is an E. Doesn't look right. Subtract the next term in the dividend minus the multiplication result. So take the next term in the dividend, I should say, and subtract. That's a better way to say it. So take the next term in the dividend, which is the 10x squared, subtract the multiplication result, which was my negative 12x squared, and then you get your new term in your box, new box term right here. Then basically you do this and you repeat until you're run out of things to do. So I will start oh, I forgot. Yeah, I'll start with the dividing part again. So I'll do the red part. So red, yeah, what's red? Okay. So now I've got this term, I'll divide it by this. So 2x squared divided by x subtract, so you just get 2x. So that goes up here. Now I multiply. So that's the blue. So the first thing I did here was divide, and now I'm going to multiply 2x times -4. That's -8x. Now I take a look at the next term, which is -9x. -9x. Subtract a -8x, which is the same thing as adding, and we get a -x. So that's what goes right here. See, I'm getting close to being done. Now I take -x divided by x, that would give me a -1. -1 times -4 would give me a +4. Now look what happened here. That's a 4, and this is a 4. If I subtract those two, I get a 0. So my remainder is whatever I have there minus the 4. So the last term minus whatever I have here, 4 minus 4, and a remainder is 0. And for now, for a couple times, we're going to do ones with remainder 0. Now, did I get what I was looking for? Yes, and all that would be a plus. So yes, I could check it by multiplying it out again, but I've already done the multiplication in this case. But if you hadn't already done it, you could do it that way. All right, so here's my instructions. My steps are a little different than this, but kind of summarized there. I think you can figure it out. So I'll do this one with you again so you can try it. So I'm going to do f of g divided by g of x. Sorry, f of x divided by g of x. It does have 3 terms. I mean, a power of 3. So actually, I'm going to get rid of that. So I'd have 3 boxes here, and this would be my remainder over here. So the first thing it says, draw a box, fill in the upper left box. Oops, battery low. How is that? Maybe it came unplugged. Oh, something came unplugged. Hold on 1 second. Hopefully we're powered up here. All right, so it says 12x cubed minus 12x squared minus 25x plus 24, and I'm going to divide it by 2x minus 3. So I take the 12x cubed and put it here because that's my first term of my dividend, and then put the 2x minus 3 here. So the first step I do is divide. I take this and divide it by this. And I can do 12 divided by 2 is 6. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Then the next step I do is multiply. Take this and multiply it by this, and I get negative 18x squared. Now what do I do? The tricky part, I want to have negative 12x squared, but I have negative 18. So I do negative 12x squared minus a negative 18x squared, and I get 6x squared. And I'll put that right here. Right, so then I repeat. I should say repeat the red box. Go back up here. Take my 6x squared divided by 2x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. Then I multiply and get negative 9x. Now I want negative 25x. I know that I just need to add another negative 16x because negative 16 and negative 9 gives me a negative 25. Divide negative 16x by 2x, that gives me a negative 8. Multiply the negative 8 by the negative, I get positive 24. Now I take the 24 minus the 24, that gives me a remainder of 0, which is nice. So no weird remainder going on here. Okay. Here's another possibility of things that could happen. Notice when we talked about it before, we emphasized that these were always going down by 1. This is x to 0. And same thing here. But on this problem, look what I have. I'm missing the x squared and the x. So to help you out and to make it a little easier when you do the division, put a 0 x squared and a 0x in there. I think my battery's low on this. This works. Oh, I think I found the problem in my computer. Right. So use my fingers. That's not going to be pretty. Okay. Plus 27. I'll just use bigger boxes. And this will probably be a remainder box. So I put the 8x cubed here. And then over here, what am I dividing by? 2x plus 3. So the first thing I do is divide. I take this and divide it by that. That gives me 4x squared. Then the next thing I do is multiply. 4x squared times the 3 gives me 12x squared. Doesn't want to put an x squared in there. Okay. Now here's the tricky part. How many x squares do I need? 0. Do another color. So I need 0 x squares. So that means I'm just going to subtract the 12x squared right here. Now I divide again. Negative 12 divided by 2 give me negative 6, and x squared divided by x being x. And I multiply. The negative 6x times the 3 would give me a negative 18x. Got too many boxes, don't I? That's all right. But I only want 0. So I'm going to add 18x squared. Now again, I divide. Take this and divide it by this. That gives me 9. Period. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, so I just have extra stuff here. 27 minus 27 is 0, so I have a remainder of 0. So this value right here is what I get when I take p of x and divide it by d of x. So let's see what happens when I have something that does not have a remainder of 0. I don't know why. Sometimes, let's see. We'll just let it touch, draw with touch. Okay, here we go. All right, so I put my x cubed here, and then I put my x plus 3 over here. First thing I do, divide. So x cubed divided by x is x squared. Then the next thing I do is multiply. X squared times 3 is 3. I'll use a different color again. 3x squared. Don't like my squares. I'm trying. What to do when your stylus quits working. Then I take my 3x squared, and how many x squares do I want? I want 5x squares. So if I did 5x squared minus 3x squared, if this helps any, I'll get 2x squared. Oh, I have to use my finger again. 3x squared plus 2x squared gives me that 5x squared. Right, divide out. 2x squared divided by x, that would just give me 2x. Then multiply. Should have written this. Subtract over here. Multiply. It is 6x. Okay, how many x's do I want? 6. Okay, perfect. So I just put a 0 there. Well, 0 divided by anything is 0, so I'm adding 0. And 0 times anything is 0. Whoa, wait a minute. I still have 9 here. So I take the 9 minus the 0, which gives me a remainder of 9, and I put it over my divisor, x plus 3. I'm going to put that back to red there, or pink, or whatever it is. So this number right here, or that polynomial, x squared plus 2x plus whatever my remainder is, 9 over x plus 3, this is the solution to dividing those two things out. And it looks messy. I apologize. That's what happens when sometimes technology doesn't work the way we think it should work. But there's my answer again right here, written a little neater than the way I wrote it. I'm going to do this last one. This is extra. You don't have to hang on and watch all this, but just to show you that it does work, because you can't do this with synthetic division. So I'm going to make a big box because of my sloppy writing here. All right, notice I have x squared here minus 4x plus 3. I don't know if I have the patience for this today. It starts with the x cubed. So I divide, gives me the x. Then I multiply, which would give me negative 4x squared. But then I can multiply again and get my 3x. Now I've got something kind of interesting, but I know this box and this box must add up to negative 6x squared. So I've got a negative 6x squared minus a negative 4x squared would give me a negative 2x squared. Once again, I divide out. Negative 2x squared divided by x squared would give me just a negative 2, right? Multiply it out, negative 8x. Oh my goodness, and negative 6. Okay, oops, positive 8x. Made a little mistake there. Now, these two terms, do that in blue. These two terms right here. And if there would be something over here, we might have to add it, but it doesn't look like we need to. Because what's 8x plus 3x? That gives me the 11x. So I'm good to go. And the negative 6 is already there, so I don't have a remainder. So that worked out kind of nice. So this is my answer. When I take this x cubed and divide it by this x squared, I get that x minus 2. You might want to double check. Like I know when I was looking back and I saw that I had a minus sign off. So you might want to go back and double check to make sure your box, and I have no remainders, so you could just say remainder is 0. But it does work. Well, I apologize for the little technology issues. But there we go. We've got the reverse box method for dividing polynomials.